The Niners winning. This is a team that went 3-5. At one point, they lost 4 of 5. Can they run the table now? They've won 3 in a row.
When you look at the remaining games on the 49ers schedule, it does seem as if all of them are winnable. All 3 of their home games remaining set up against beatable teams. The Falcons. Who are the other ones that are on there?
Houston.
Oh, the Texans. Yeah.
There's 2 more. That's it. Atlanta and Houston are there. They have 4 road games and 2 home games remaining.
But when you go on the road, I mean, there are some rough games. Next week sets up to be one that will be challenging. Yeah. After this physical matchup against a Seattle team where you would hope they come out with the victory, flying all the way into Cincinnati against a high-flying offense, that's going to be a tough one. That may be the toughest one remaining on the schedule. And then they come back for Atlanta and then head out to Tennessee. Is that correct?
That's correct. And then they have Houston at home, and then they go to the Rams for the final game of the season.
It sets up all of those individual games strike me as beatable. The 49ers should be able to beat the Seahawks this weekend. Would you agree with that they should be able to manage time of possession?
They better beat the Seahawks. Absolutely. Yes.
And then the Bengals, that one is the tougher one for me to predict because of their offense and how that might match up against our secondary. But they have a very suspect defense. If the 49ers can get back to their run-first identity, that also seems like a winnable game, although a close matchup.
The thing about the Bengals defense, it's ranked 6th in fewest points allowed. So the thing about the Bengals is they are a dark horse. That is a team that is a contender right now. They have Joe Burrow, who's playing as well as any. I mean, everyone's talking about Mac Jones, about Joe Burrow. And he's got Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, Joe Mixon. That's the toughest game left on the Niners schedule, and I'm going to it. Going to Cincinnati.
Nice.
Me. Yep. Mostly for the chili. Just kidding.
That will be a tough one. Then they come home against Atlanta. That's a very winnable game, but it sets up as a potential trap game, right? I mean, 2019, let's think back to that Atlanta Falcons game where last second victory, Julio Jones at the goal line. I know they don't have Julio anymore, and they don't have the wide receiver they drafted to replace him, but they are still a dangerous team, and the 49ers are still a team that I wonder if they have the consistency to win those games that they need to win, that they should win.
Right. So, look, they should beat the Seahawks. Not saying they should beat Cincinnati. They could. That's a tough one. They should beat Atlanta. But then Tennessee's interesting. That's a tough one because it's a road game on Thursday night. That's hard. And then, Tennessee's in shambles now, but what are they going to look like then? They're a good team usually. So that's another game the Niners, you could say right now it looks like they should win. And then finally, like the last week against the Rams, the Niners have the Rams number, but will Odell Beckham finally be integrated in the offense? Will Matthew Stafford be back on a roll?
Yeah.
It's not necessarily just an easy win.
It's not. And if you look at both, there are 2 games that the opposing teams may have their backs against the wall and be a caged animal. The Titans are certainly one of them. They could be getting healthy when the 49ers come into town. Short week. The 49ers are the traveling team. Derrick Henry could be back. It's right before Christmas, and so you could imagine players being slightly distracted, thinking about family and everything that goes into Christmas time. So that seems like it sets up as a difficult game. And then the Rams could absolutely have their backs against the wall. Everyone, when they made those moves for Von Miller and what's that?
The Seahawks do right now.
Yes, right.
That's 3. Yeah.
Right. So that's a tough matchup. And if the 49ers are still rolling at that point, the tendency is to get a bit lax. If the 49ers get on a streak and they are winning, that's why running the table is so difficult, because eventually you start to believe the hype. You start to think you are that much better of a team, and you don't take the opponent as seriously, and you drop one that you shouldn't have. 49ers can't really afford to do that for the remainder of the season. They could go 4-2 and make the playoffs. I still think 10-7 gets them there, but you want to get in on a high note. You don't want to have a 2-game losing streak or end the season on a loss to the Rams. So to me, it's important that the 49ers mentally attempt to run this and play it like it's a playoff game every week.
I'm gonna say it this way. I think they should win this week without Debo. And if Debo comes back next week, they can beat the Bengals. And if
Yes.
Debo doesn't miss any more time, he's the MVP of the league. I think they can run the table. It can be done. When you have the best player in your sport, helps. So yeah, it can be done. Yes.
It does. Would you see a likely scenario that if we win this game without Debo, that because of the importance of Debo, they actually rest him one more week, knowing that it would be okay to drop one game against a good team?
No.
Rush him back.
No. I think he's coming back. I think he's going to play against the Bengals. Maybe it'll be the wrong call, but I don't think you can. He's trying to get paid. He wants to play. I think
that's a good
probably
point.
even hard to keep him out one week.
That's a great point. That man is looking at 20+ million a year. He is hungry.